Well, PSA did ask for feedback on their new comic book slabs, and the comic community certainly gave it to them. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggerhouse. And in this one, we got an update for the PSA Label, a leak on their official live stream of their new PSA comic book cases, later to be, I guess, fully revealed at New York Comic Con next week. And within that live stream, they, talked about what they have coming up in the next calendar year, a lot of new products going on. And they also showed their most updated version of their PSA slab, most specifically, their updated version of their new comic book label. Now, if you guys happen to see the PSA slab at San Diego Comic-Con, or maybe you saw my review on the channel, you guys know that they had a prototype that they had actually rolled out, and a lot of people had commented on the label not being the nicest looking thing. Of all the comic book labels that exist, this was one of them. But in this stream with the president, Ryan Hodge here, they showed the new label, and without further ado, let us show you guys what they had. Now, I know all of you watching just collectively gasped, holding in your breath as if a beautiful bride finally walked out into the aisle for the first time. But there you see it, folks, the new PSA label. So in this video, I wanted to talk a little bit about the label. Obviously, I'm here to show it to you guys just to get your feedback. But more importantly, I kind of wanted to go through the comic book community comments that we have here onto the side and see what the community has to say. But of course, before I get into it, if you guys could like, comment, subscribe, I appreciate it. Help support the channel doing those things. But let us get into this video. Neo has this to say, did a live stream today. PSA did a live stream today. And a small part of it, they teased an updated comic label. Not anything too crazy, but the obvious change is the name issue of the book being much larger. Hashtag comic book. So let me quickly show you guys. This is the old label. If you guys remember, this is actually the most close-up picture I could actually find of it, but the number would be right there. White Pages Newsstand, Incredible Hulk 181, and the date right there with the PSA what do you call it, holofoil thing in the middle, and then on the left-hand side, you would see, kind of all the titles and artists and first full appearance, et cetera, et cetera. So that was the old label. Excuse me as I, oh God, mess up the controls right there. And this is the new label right here. So as you guys can see, Amazing Spider-Man number 300, definitely a lot bigger. Looks like they increase the number as well. Definitely increase the size right there. I think they shifted a couple things to, underneath the ASM 300. Serial number still there. White page is still there. It looks like the first full appearance of Venom right there. And then the artist credits are still right there. But I don't know. What do you guys think? This is pretty much what it looks like. I realize that this is a magazine. But what do you guys think? This one versus this one? I mean, still kind of samey, I guess. But, I don't know, guys. The font is just, I mean, I guess the font is the font, right? This is the PSA font. That was one of the things I noticed. Like, it's definitely the same font, and it was definitely the same font size when I was actually comparing the label compared to that of, a card label. It's like, even though the case is actually bigger of a comic book, they still had the same font size. So I think them making the ASM 300 bigger is actually, that's like a big step for them to kind of step out of their comfort zone. It looks like also the holofoil, they went away from the red, white, and blue version, which you guys can see was right here. I guess it's more of a red, blue, and silver version, but they're going full silver right there, which I don't know, guys. I actually prefer the colored one more than this one right here, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's dive into them and see what the people had to say. Journos Comics here says, garbage label for comics, but people forget that the number one thing grading should provide is a certified grade that can be trusted. True. We are paying for their evaluation of the comic's condition. Isn't that right? We're paying for the number right there. But at the same time, label's important. Label is also important. But how important is this? If we're actually going to stack rank this stuff, what do you guys actually want? Are we talking about trust here? Are we talking about security and safety? Are we talking about design and aesthetics? Or at the end of the day, are we really talking about resale value? I kind kind of feel like resale value is the only thing that matters. You know, you could have the ugliest slab with the worst security ever, and as long as you get the most resale value, you're going to be the #1 priority in the comic book market. Swag, I think you just described CGC. Oh, let's carry on here. Wolverine responds to Journal's comments saying, not trusting PSA card, the first card they graded was trimmed, and there's a long list of altered cards. Why would anyone trust them? Mark Spector replies, because they own the sports card market, and as we know, the sports card market is a far larger market than comic books. I think that has a lot to do with it. True, I agree with Mark right there. I mean, the one thing you have to say with PSA coming into the comic book space is that they have an audience of loyal collectors, you know, within the card world. And if they are able to bring over that audience to comic books, that is going to be a significant amount of collectors. I mean, the card market dwarfs the comic book market. It's not even close. You know, the amount of business that goes into PSA's doors for their card section, you know, just not even just sports card guys. I don't think you guys maybe understand how big Pokemon is. Pokemon is even more massive than sports cards. You know, and so as they can bring over just a small subset of that to the comic collecting audience, they're going to do very, very well. They almost don't even need to win over, you know, anyone from CGC. They just need to win over people who collect cards and bring them over to comic books. Journal replies, not saying anyone should. I've never used them. The point is the trust in the grade is #1. Everyone still clings to CGC when they repeatedly fail their trust of consumers. Now, trust is very, very important, but I'm of the opinion that trust is just downstream of value. You know, and I guess it's a little bit of a yin and yang thing. What comes first? You know, trust or value or aesthetics or value or whatever. I just think ultimately secondary market value is really the thing that's going to drive it, right? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, if the PSA slab in the ASM 300 9.4 sells for the same amount as a CGC 9.4, that's going to be a massive deal. That's going to be the thing that gets people over to PSA. You know, and I don't think people are really going to care too much about label aesthetics. Although, you know what, maybe that's actually going to be, you know, tie goes to the runner situation where if PSA does sell for the same amount as a CGC slab, then the label will actually come into play and it will start to matter at that point. And then ironically, maybe people will not like the label and then they'll go to CGC. And then that, in fact, will make the value of the PSA slab go down. So I guess there is a little bit of an element to that as well. Let's go down here to DS Comics PCH. He says, slabs still wider than CGCs? Because ain't no one going to buy slabs that don't fit into their boxes. Well, Neil already responded to that. They are working on a slab size that is standard size. Now, yeah, just to emphasize Neil's point right there and to clarify, the PSA slab, as you guys can see, is a lot bigger than that of the CGC case. I mean, just look at it, you know, in comparison to the ASM 300 book. You know, the ASM 300 slab in a CGC one is pretty much form-fitting. You guys can see how much extra space there is for this one. Again, if you guys want to check out my review of the case, I'll have that in the description. But that being said, PSA is working on a smaller size slab to have as an option for collectors. So they're going to have one that basically matches that of CBCS and CGC. And then they're going to also have these bigger slabs, which I guess, you know, are more for, you know, sort of niche collectors. Like if you're just somebody who likes, you know, having the big slab, or maybe you're somebody who wants this extra security, or certainly if you send in a larger format Golden Age comic book or a magazine, they're going to use this slab as well. Josh's comic book says, I might be in the minority, but I like that they kept the label similar to their card label. Shrug. I mean, I kind of actually agree with you on that. I mean, listen, I think that there's still a lot of improvement on this label. It just, I don't know. It's like the contrast and the tones and the texture. It's really just kind of sloppy, but I'm not mad at the fact that it is similar to their card labels. Like, I don't mind the red border. I know that a lot of people hate the red border. I don't even necessarily mind the font. I realize if that's their font, if this is their style guide, if this is their brand guidelines for PSA, I'm not mad at them for using their PSA style guidelines. I just think that they need to push it a little bit further and try to figure out what's going to make sense for expanding into comic books right here. Because again, we are a visual medium. I mean, all of collectibles is a visual medium, so label design does matter. Dan right here says CGC is laughing at them. They might be laughing at this label. Although CBCS is laughing at CGC for Bendgate. And then actually PSA is laughing at CBCS for taking all their employees. So I guess we have a full laughing circle. It's the cycle of life of laughing at other graded companies. And then comic collectors are just laughing at everybody. It's perfect. Bronze and Modern Gods here says, period. I think less is more with that comment. I think we know what those guys think. Godly Comics here with the vomit emoji. 7C Keys says, lol, looks terrible. Comic Key says, why can't CBCS and PSA hire an actual graphic designer? It's insane how bad their labels are. In my opinion, it's the most important aspect of the entire business. Well, I do like the new CBCS labels. I think that they did an excellent job with the redesign of them. And honestly, now that I look at them, I think CBCS might have the best label. If I'm being actually honest, like if I came in, stripping away all of my biases and all of my former knowledge of all of these companies, and you just show me the 3 labels for the first time, CBCS might have the best one of them, at least their new design. Their previous design was terrible, and I will say that, yeah, I think that this one needs improvement. And I'm thinking that that PSA does have an actual graphic designer working on this stuff. I would think, it's a big company. They have lots of graphic design going on. They have lots of social media and art stuff and, signage that they put out there. So I'm sure that someone is working on this. The question is, how far are they able to push it? What are they allowed to come up with in the label design? Again, it seems like PSA is really sticking to their style guides, trying to replicate the card label. The slab already looks 20 years old, needs a little research and development. I mean, I agree with you. It does look like it came out in 1995, but that's also kind of, PSA's brand at this point, which is, either good or bad. I think comments about the label design are valid. It's not the most important part, but most things you buy are based visually, and it's just not appealing to me personally. I wouldn't buy the Mona Lisa and then put it in a Dollar Tree free. However, I do welcome the competition in the grading space. I actually agree with this comment, generally speaking. Like, it's not the most important. What Comic Key said, it's literally the most important. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't think it's the most important, but it is important. Aesthetics is important. Label is hideous in so many ways. They're clearly not listening. Looks terrible. Oh, I think that they're listening. I definitely think that they're listening, and I definitely think that they're going to hear these comments in this video here today. Yeah, that looks horrible. Oof. Anytime you hit him with the oof or the face palm right there, man, that looks like crap. Well, it's a slab. Yep, that's true, Tim. Of all the slabs that were ever slabbed, this is one of them. We got to do better than this, people. So a lot of collectors not really liking this one. The books are sealed, and I still got to read super small type for no reason at all. Tired of it. Yeah, that was kind of one of the things I thought was interesting. I mean, here the font on this side right here is literally the same size as a card slab. So think about that for a second. You have a label that is 3x, 4x the size of the card slab, yet the font is literally the same size. So that was kind of strange. That awful label, I don't hate it. Oh, there we go. We have one person that is positive right here. Not a fan, looks cheap. I really like the look of these. I think I'm going to give them a shot once they open the floodgates. What do you think? Oh, there's another person that's a fan. Interesting how they went from their branded scale of the font size, I guess, to fit what the market is used to. But my opinion is they keep the same scale as their card labels. Okay, so, somebody actually agrees with the style guides right there. CGC makes too many mistakes. The market needs competition, but how can we support this product? This label looks like shit compared to CGC. I mean, tell us how you really feel. Label is a freaking terrible, looks so cheap. Is it possible they made it worse? I mean, what do you guys think? Did they make it actually worse right here? It's weird that I feel like this little hollow foil thing got bigger than this one. Am I tripping right here? I mean, did it look like it encroached a little higher on the actual label overall? And again, like I already said, I like the red and blue hollow foil more than this one right here. I've never liked this hollow foil that has like the texture, these square things on it. It looks like glitter. I never liked that whole thing. Looks cool, but I'm sticking with CBCS. I thought this was one of the old CGC red labels. Gross. Wow, that is shit. I still think the label is too plain. CBCS's label improved over the years. CGC label still is my favorite. Would love to feel all 3 cases side by side. Until they fix the slab size, it is a non-starter. People are not going to completely change their storage boxes, cabinets, just to allow for some new slab size. Well, they are changing that. Well, there you guys have it. The community giving feedback On the newest rendition of the PSA label, there you guys see the old label and the Hulk 181, of course, compared to the CGC one. You got the old CBCS one. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the new CBCS one. Let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think about this new version of their new label? Should we be giving them more feedback? Do they need to go back to the lab and do another redesign? I think it's important that the community gives feedback. I believe they're going to be taking these cases to New York Comic Con. I will certainly be there to talk about them and report back. But until then, I'm definitely looking forward to reading your guys' comments. Anyways, that's all for this video. Update on the PSA label. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. See you on the next video.